Ma'am, you can start with the session.
Okay, can I start talking?
Yes.
Like that? Okay. Thank you. Hi. I just have to give some time. See if my camera will be a little bit down. Good afternoon, Auntie.
Yes. Ma'am, you can start the session.
Oh, okay. So, hi. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Autism Connect, for having me on your platform to talk about what I'm so passionate about and to talk about autism. I believe this is something that concerns everyone, not just a particular group of people or just the people that are affected by it. I believe it concerns everyone, and we should all be actively involved in one way or the other, no matter how little our contributions might seem. And yeah. So my name is Mbah Marie Claire. On social media, I'm known as Mbah Marie Claire. So I'm using Mbah, that's my grandfather's name. And I'm from Cameroon. Cameroon is a small country, not small, but it's a country in West and Central Africa. And I'm from the English-speaking side of the country. So I've had this interest. Let me know if my microphone is okay and the video is okay. Just let me know. So I've had this interest in autism for a very long time. That should date back to 2010 when I started teaching. And I've always had interest in children who are different. And I mean, not instantly, but joining the teaching field and teaching children or working with children actually opened my eyes, opened my eyes to realize that truly and really we are all different. We operate differently, we view the world differently, we understand the world differently, and our struggles too are different. So it's this urge to really understand the difference that lies between us, especially young humans, kids that I worked with, that actually fueled my initial interest in autism. And here we are today. I am an activist and advocate for children born with autism and adults living with undiagnosed autism. So I'm here today to talk about an aspect or to raise my voice or use my voice and use Autism Connect platform to talk about adults living with autism, especially undiagnosed adults living with autism. And I believe that this will go a long way to really raise an awareness around this issue. So autism these days, like autism of 2024 is not autism of 2015, it's not autism of the early 2000s. It's definitely not autism of the 90s, the 1800s, and if we want to go date back, and you see that there's been a lot of progress. There's been a lot of progress in the field, and a lot still has to be done, a lot of research, a lot of studies. We still need more people to join in, to come in, to talk about this particular issue that affects everyone. And I believe that it starts with awareness, it starts with activism, it starts with advocacy. Anyone can advocate and anyone can be an activist. It's not just confined to a particular group of people per se, but everyone should be involved. And so let's dive straight into our topic of today. And it's about adults living with adult autism and the adult diagnosis and its impact on children who are born with autism, diagnosed or undiagnosed. That's our topic for today. And I believe that this is something that we should talk about. We should bring it to the limelight to really shed some more light on it, so that people will know that it is not just children, but we also have adults. Because if we have children, these children will eventually grow into adulthood, and they will become adults living with autism. So this transition is what we need to talk about. We need to look at it. We need to see how we can have like a connect between the adults and the kids that are born with autism. And the unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in is that there are adults who are autistic who don't even know that they are autistic. Initially, when I started my advocacy journey, I was just advocating for kids. And then I discovered that advocating for kids alone without including the adults, it's going to create like a loophole somewhere. And that's how I now changed my strategy, changed my direction, and took the direction of children born with autism and adults living with undiagnosed autism. And I'm very glad that if you look around social media these days, you see a lot of advocacy around autism, especially from adults who have late diagnosis. And it is this late diagnosis that we really encourage adults to go in for. Because this late diagnosis will actually give us a lead way. It will stand as a lead way for other things to open up in the autism community, especially for children. So what are some of the impacts? The main and the big question that I'm here to discuss with you about, to talk with you about, are the impacts. What are the impacts? Of course, when we are talking about something, there's definitely going to be positive and negatives. But I want us to talk and dwell more on the positives and just a little bit on the negatives of this impact. Now, if we have more adults with their diagnosis, they know it's not just about the diagnosis to begin with. It's not just about the diagnosis. If you follow me on social media, you also notice that I'm very big on self-awareness. And self-awareness is also comes like a self-diagnosed kind of, where you actually diagnose yourself to understand who you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses and all that. I'm very big on self-awareness as well. So with this diagnosis, I believe that when adults know where they stand when it comes to autism, it will help the community a lot. When adults understand that, okay, I've been having these issues, I've had these situations, I've had these issues, and why does it reoccur? Why is it so, why does it happen too often? So so many times, like, this is reoccurring in my life. Why? When adults have these questions, they ask these questions, they try to find answers. I believe that this is already a starting point. It's already a way of self-diagnosing themselves, you know. Same too for typical people. Typical people, when something keeps happening to them over and over, they try to find out why is it so, what is the cause, what are the triggers, what happens before this thing happens, and this thing, you know. So these are some of the questions that I believe that adults who suspect that they might be on the spectrum, they should start looking towards this direction. And when you look towards this direction and you have like that wow moment, that moment where you have like, oh, this is it, I think you should go for your diagnosis. You should self-diagnose at home if you don't have money. And if you don't have money, or you live in a country where adult diagnosis is not yet a thing, you can go online and download the adult diagnosis checklist and just self-diagnose at home, and just have that information and just be aware. That way, if something is happening and you know, okay, this thing is happening because of this. So when we have more adults now in this situation, I'm going to talk for situations where I come from a country where even childhood diagnosis is still very challenging. Talk less of, or talk more of adult diagnosis. It's not evident. So I believe that in this situation, we just need these adults who have self-diagnosed to come out and talk about it, which is something that others are already doing. I see a lot of activists, adult activists doing it. As I mentioned earlier on, I see a lot of adult activists, they're already doing it, they're already talking about it, they're already sending the messages out, and we need more of such messages. So the first impact of an adult diagnosed, whether it is self-diagnosed, whether it is officially done by a specialist, by a clinic, by a specialized system or institution, the first impact would be that this diagnosis is going to encourage families to begin with, families that have or are raising kids that they suspect might be on the spectrum. You know, it's going to encourage them to do more findings, to dig deep, to look towards that direction and ask themselves questions. You know, when you come out and you say, oh, I've got myself diagnosed, or I've got my official diagnosis from a specialist, and this is it. Now I understand why as a kid I had this challenge. Now I understand why as a kid I was a picky eater. Now I understand why as a kid I had sleep difficulties. I was hyper. I would self-isolate. These are just some of the things that we can see or that are common with children or people born with autism. This is not to say that if people have these things, automatically it means that they are autistic. No, but these are characteristics that are reoccurring, that are common among people or children born with autism. So let me get back to what I'm saying. To the first point, please, let's take note. Unfortunately, I did not do a slide because this is my first time on this kind of Zoom where we have to cross-post on Facebook. So I didn't know what to expect. So the first point here would be that it's going to encourage families to begin with, couples, especially couples who are in this for the first time. It's going to encourage them. If adults go out there and get their diagnosis or they self-diagnose at home, it will encourage families, especially couples who are experiencing it for the first time. The second impact, which is a positive one, I said earlier on that we're going to dwell more on the positive impact. The second impact that this will have on children and families raising children with autism would be that it will create a sense of belonging. There are other people out there just like me, just like my child, just like my family. We have someone who also is experiencing what we are experiencing. That means we are not alone. That means it's not like it's a curse or it's an isolated incident or an incident that is happening only to my family or to my child, you know. So when you see parents go out there, let's say on TikTok, I really appreciate the no ads, but I really appreciate the TikTok app because that is where you find a lot of people talking about, a lot of adults talking about their self-diagnosed journey. They're sharing how they got diagnosed and the difference it made in their lives and all that. So when we see these kinds of testimonies or people talking about giving out these kinds of experience, it helps families. It makes them have that sense of belongingness, like, okay, this is a challenge we have in front of us. We are not alone in it. Now we can march forward. What's next? What solutions do we have? And so on and so forth. And this now brings me to the third impact, positive impact, which would be reference point. These adult diagnosis and testimonies would act as a reference point to these families and these kids. It will be a reference point for them. They are going to go back, they will flip the pages, and they will get enough information that will guide them on what to do. So adult autism diagnosis, it is very, very, very important. Now, as a sub, this diagnosis, not only will it stand as a reference, it will also encourage the children. I'm talking now about the kids. Imagine a 5-year-old autistic child who is aware or knows an adult who is maybe 25 years or 30 years old, who's also autistic. This is where modeling comes in. This adult now stands as a model to that child. They stand as someone they can look up to. You know, they stand as someone that they can not only refer, but they can mimic. They can maybe mimic how their confidence, their courage, they can mimic a lot of things from them, you know. And I want to quickly say here that adults who live with autism or have their diagnosis, please try as much as you can to model your life in a way that children who are diagnosed or undiagnosed can at least learn 1 or 2 things from you. And when these adults have their diagnosis, especially gifted adults, we see a lot of examples of well-rounded, fulfilled, accomplished adults who were autistic kids or who are still autistic as we speak. When we have these adults as models in the lives of these kids, do I need to say what it will do for them? We all know what it will do for them. I'm going to quote the case of Elon Musk. We have him online. The example is there, and he is a well-accomplished individual, even though he has autism, even though he was diagnosed with autism as a kid, you know. So when we have these models, we show these kids, look at this person, he had same diagnosis, but look at what he has accomplished for himself, look at what he has achieved for himself, look at what he has done, look at, this will encourage them also. And to a greater extent, it will help them overcome their fears. One big characteristic of autistic people is that they have a lot of fear in them, especially the ones that are covert. You know, we have overt autistic people and covert autistic people. They have a lot of fear in them, especially the ones that have grown in environments where there is no love. They have been traumatized by situations where they are rejected, they are not accepted, they are not loved properly or accordingly. So you see this fear, there's this fear that builds up in them. So when we have adults who come out with their diagnosis, oh, I have myself diagnosed, I did it myself at home, I have my official diagnosis, I got this official diagnosis from this center, you know, it will take that fear out of their hearts. They're going to process in their brain and be like, oh, this person did it, so can I. This person has it and is living a normal and fulfilled life, so can I if I put in some efforts, you know. So these are just these examples and these situations that I'm quoting here are just few of the many benefits that children will have, families will have, if we have more adults that will come out and share their diagnosis, share their experiences, go in for their diagnosis and actually get their diagnosis and know and understand what they are dealing with. Now, let's move forward to the next impact. If we get and we have more adults with their diagnosis, it's going to create more activists. It is going to create more and more activists around the world. If we are talking about 10,000 activists, autism activists around the world, and we are talking about 30,000 adults, that diagnosed adults living with autism, we are now talking about 30,000 activists, advocates, you know. And in the long run, it's going to dissipate into what we now will call the autism culture, where we have a culture where people, we have our community, we have our way of life, we cultivate a way of living for the autistic people, you know. We have a particular way that we do certain things, you know, and not just having activists and advocates, but we can end up with better laws for autistic people, better human rights for autistic people. We are going to have more people fighting for the rights of autistic children and autistic adults. So having more adults go in for their diagnosis, it's beneficial to the autism community, it's beneficial to the children, it's beneficial to the family, and it's even beneficial to atypical human beings who don't understand what autism is all about. It's going to be beneficial even to people who are atypical, who do not have autism. They will now take interest in it, because if they see more and more adults talking about it, they will pay attention. They'll be like, oh, tell us more. We want to know more about this. I've had people come to my inbox, send me private messages telling me, oh, you know, you actually opened my eyes to understand and to be aware of this particular situation. I never knew that something existed like this. I've been following you, you've been talking about it, and now I have a little knowledge or some knowledge about this particular issue of autism. So if we have more adult diagnosed, we are going to have more advocates, we are going to have more activists, and we will now see a situation where laws about autism will get better. They will make better laws. Parliaments, institutions, organizations, governments, they will take better decisions concerning people, children born with autism and adults living with autism. And finally, I'm going to land on this last one, which I've already kind of talked about before, but I will bring it down to talk about it, Alash. We will have an autism culture. We will have a community where we have a culture where we know each other. Autistic people, they know each other. When you see an autistic person somewhere exhibiting or doing something, you are aware, you know, this person, this is what happens in the autism community. You know, we have other communities, we have like the LG, you know, I don't want to. So they have their culture, they have their way. When they meet somewhere in public, they know, this person belongs to my community. This is my person. I can identify with this person. This is one of the things that an adult diagnosed can bring into the community, you know. And besides the fact that these adults will stand like the gate watchers, they will stand like the guardian angels for the children that are coming behind. They will stand as the people that will push for better laws, for better treatment, you know. Besides that, within the community, they can create and come up with a culture. Around that culture, we can build something positive, where if we say autistic people, some autistic people, some autistic children, when they are young, they tiptoe, they walk on their toes. We can create a culture around that. Because you're walking on your toe does not mean you're weird, you're stupid. You know, we can create a culture around that. We see people wearing makeup, wearing hair, and that's their culture. Why can't we create our own culture also in the autism community, where we take one of these behaviors that people consider to be weird, unacceptable, and create a culture around it and fix it in a way that others will look and be like, tiptoeing can be helpful to, you know, it can help me to relax. It can, you know, so it is quite important that adults who suspect that they might be on the spectrum should go in for their diagnosis, because they will be helping families with their diagnosis. They will be helping children with their diagnosis. They will stand as role models to these children. They will stand as guardian angels to these children. They will stand as gate watchers to these children. They will stand as protectors, if I should use this word. They will stand as the people protecting these children, because a lot of autistic children are being understood, misjudged, misquoted everywhere, especially in countries where this particular issue of autism is not well understood. It's not well known. So our voices should come together, should stand tall. We should continue to spread the word, and we should continue to tell the world about this particular issue and to share our experiences. I will quickly take a break here, and if there are any questions, I'm open to answer them. I didn't bring any statistics per se. I just wanted to freely present this topic and get your views on it. Hopefully next time, if I get another chance, I will build on your views. I will bring in any statistics based on your questions that you will be asking me now. So thank you so much for listening, and I'm now open and available to take your questions. And if you don't mind, if there are any questions, please, you can share them. If you are just joining now, please ask your questions. And we are talking about if you're just joining in now, my name is Mbah Marie Claire, and I am an autism activist from Cameroon. And today we have been talking about adult diagnosed and its impact on children born with autism, diagnosed or undiagnosed, and families. So anytime you come across this live, leave your questions. I'm open to answer them. I'm available to answer them, and feel free to come to my inbox if you can, or to write Autism Connect on their platform. Ask any questions that you want more clarity on, and we are open to answer your questions. So I hope this message that I've carried along with me today, it will go far and beyond, and that our perspectives and our views on autism and adult diagnosis will change, and that we will encourage not just children, but we will encourage adults that we feel should get a diagnosis to go and give it a try and just see what happens. Thank you all for joining. I think my time is up, and talk to you later and talk to you some other time. Continue, follow me on Facebook, Mbah Marie Claire, and please connect with Autism Connect. They do a lot of work, and they have other speakers that come on to talk about autism. And if you have a child that you suspect might be on the spectrum, you can also talk to Autism Connect. They might lead you on what to do. Thank you so much for joining. Take care of yourselves. Bye.